Welcome. In this lecture, we would focus on the rural development and the various schemes related to it. So, India bagged the highest number of highest number of medals, 75% more than the Asian Games in 2018, and this has led to an improved aspect about sports and development of sports related subjects. So, we have seen that one of the interesting examples that we have in the Kurukshetra that has been cited this time is for Parul Chaudhary. She actually started at a very young age running barefoot and then switched to 1500 meters, 3000 meters, and then 5000 meters, and finally she was second in the medal in Asian Games. So that's really interesting. Now there have been various initiatives like Khelo India, rural sports, the traditional sports like archery, wrestling, horse riding, chariot riding are some of those. Then the Khelo India scheme released by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports has been a basic platform for sporting skills and sport talent. The idea is promotion of rural, indigenous and tribal games. In Telangana's Medal district, a synthetic athletic track has been built with a financial assistance. Similarly, in Jhunjhunu in Rajasthan, a multi-purpose hall has been built. So there has been various funds flowing for the development of sports, and multi-sports competitions are being established. Khelo India Para Games would be organized shortly. For the grants, in which field the grant has been given, it's mainly for infrastructure, equipment, appointment of coaches, training of coaches and scholarships. Sports for women is one of the schemes that have been promoted. Asmita Women League is an initiative for sporting leagues in various disciplines in India, mainly for women athletes. Then we have Roshni Bina Devi. She is one of the women athletes. She started with Thang Ta, which is a traditional martial arts of Manipur, and later moved to Wushu. She has been fighting with Chinese kickboxing competitions, and she has a full contact combat sport which combines traditional martial arts of China and the modern fighting techniques. There have been various developments in the field of combating the drug abuse among the sports athletes, and mission for drug free India is again an important aspect. Now the promotional schemes through the Sports Authority of India, National Center of Excellence, Sports Authority of India training centers, the schools, the indigenous games and martial arts. There have been various national sports talent contests that has been there. The first feature of the Sansad Khel Mahakumbh had been taken place in the Basti district in January 2023, and this has been the efforts taken by the members of the parliament. The rural enterprises and their sustainability is really important. The various 63 million medium and small scale enterprises, which have nearly 94% of the micro enterprises, are really important. Their development, they have been classified either as proprietorship or group ownership. In the group ownership, it's mainly the self-help groups, cooperatives and producer companies. Then moving on to the importance of resource entrepreneurship in the rural area, it's mainly for the utilization of the resources correctly so that the funds flow in smoothly. Rural entrepreneurs are given a positive vibe. Then the changes which are visible from the rural area, from an agro base to an industrial rural setup, moving towards learning outcomes, that is adopting technology, problem solving approach. But still the rural entrepreneurs face numerous challenges. These challenges could be in the form of right market, right price, viability of the product, suitability, cold storage facility, working capital, labor, and the price against the labor. However, for all these things, skilling and upskilling is really important. So entrepreneurs, how they can skill and upskill, there have been various approaches. Cluster development approach is one development approach where holistic development is provided using the clusters. Then we do have through incubation programs where ideas are being given priority and the products are being generated for finally the sale. Similarly, government role is really important. So Startup Village Entrepreneurship Program, which is run by Government of India, aims to assist entrepreneurs to establish their business enterprise in rural areas. We do have community resource person enterprise promotion, which is for creating business support services to rural entrepreneurs. We also talk about foundation of development for the rural value chain, which comes in with the various large size producer enterprises, and promoting rural enterprise is really important. Now, how do we promote the entrepreneurship? One way is to have a good connectivity. So developing post offices and postal network is really essential. For more than 160 years, Department of Post has been working forward for developing the communication system. We do have village level talent search centers which display the information brochures and banners on the national schemes. Online training is provided. Postmaster is working with close coordination with the school teachers for bringing in schemes and awareness campaigns. Similarly, screening test is held in schools where students want to go for an online mode. Sochi Center, one for each every state is really important, where gifted children can actually benefit. For the academics, NTSC National Talent Search Examination is one, which is conducted in stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 conducted by the state, stage 2 conducted by the center. And then we do have open distance learning programs for the students who are eligible above 18 years. NTSC students who qualify stage 1 are eligible for stage 2, and then they get a fellowship for class 11th and 12th, and then graduation and higher studies. What is the benefit of qualifying this exam? If you go for any interviews like UPSC, there is an extra weightage. If you want to get admission into Triple IIT Hyderabad, which is considered as equivalent to IIT Bombay, there are 15 seats for NTSC scholars. You also get a priority in foreign universities. If you are an NTSC scholar, you get preference into various public and private sector jobs, and Triple IIT Delhi also gives bonus marks to NTSC students. Now coming on to sports, similar to NTSC, there is National Sport Talent Search Scheme, which identifies students from age group of 8 to 12 years. The idea is to identify between the class 4 to 6, nurture their talent, and then provide them support and streamline their interests so that it could be better approached. But we have found that there have been certain weaknesses. For example, for the NTSC examination, the identification is at a late age. Now this exam has MAT and SET, which is too structured, and students from weaker section are not able to attempt the questions based on reading comprehension and English, and therefore it hampers their growth. Similar experiences we have seen for various countries. For example, in United States, there is a federal TRIO program which assists students from disadvantaged groups. Talent search among 8 programs for junior high and junior high school students is there. There are various 475 TS programs which serve nearly 4 lakh students, specifically from low income economic backgrounds. Then in Russia, Cyrus Education Center, Sochi, is one such which supports the students from grade 5 to 11 who excel in sports, arts and natural science, and it's a residential school with travel accommodation, everything free of cost, including the food. Then in the rural area, artisans and empowering artisans is really important. So for this, we have the PM Swanidhi scheme, which is by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, and this provides capital loans with interest subsidies for street vendors, hawkers, and upgrading their skills through the Ustad scheme. By the Ministry of Minority Affairs is again important. Similarly, we have Jan Shikshan Sansthan and Rural Self-Employment Training Institutes, which do provide training to the targeted beneficiaries. Vishwakarma Yojana was launched in 2023 September in Delhi. The idea is artisans who are self-employed can register under this scheme, and they would be the Vishwakarmas based on the Guru Shishya Parampara. So it's the segment which was so far unrecognized would now be streamlined into a single portal. Certificates and ID cards would be issued. The ministries which would be involved would be Central Government, MSME and Skill Development Ministry. Then there would be the token vouchers of 15,000 which would be issued. Digital transactions would be given incentives. Branding and marketing support would be provided. There are various trades which would be covered, for example being a carpenter, stonebreaker, cobbler, barber, garland maker and so on. The idea would be to actually strengthen the supply chain so that the demand of certain products is streamlined and there is a proper contribution by the artisans and the craftsmen. The scheme registration is really important, and then the eligibility, anyone who is above 18 years would be eligible. The registration would be only one per family, and the members would not be eligible if one of the person has already enrolled. Now, In the healthcare, again, we have numerous schemes which have come. One such important initiative is the healthcare sector skill council, which recognizes the support of the industry, academics, ministries, and certifies the qualification of the various people involved in healthcare, specifically Ayush, social sector, and hospital management. So development of the national occupational standards, affiliation of training institutes, and certification is really important. Competency enhancement programs have been aimed to promote skill development. The next is the Skill India mission. Again, as we mentioned, the idea is skill building and skill training. So there have been a special training program which has been customized for crash courses, which includes fresh skills, upskilling, and training the drivers. Trainees would be actually getting certain guidelines, and these guidelines have been mentioned here. PM Yuva Yojana, it has been implemented by Ministry of Skill Development again. The idea is entrepreneurship, education, training, and then the people who have been involved with polytechnics, ITIs, Kaushal Kendra would be part of it. It has been released as a pilot project in 10 states and 2 UTs, and the idea would be to spread awareness, mobilize the campaign. Similarly, we do have Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Yojana for rural youth and the rural poor who can get a minimum regular monthly wage. There have been newer initiatives, for example, the new education policy, the Poshan Abhiyan, the Poshan 2.0 version, Saksham Anganwadis, entrepreneurship skill programs, training in physiotherapy, focus on skill building, educational loans and interest rates. Then the aim is to attain certain sustainable development goals, like Goal 4 related to skill development, Goal 8 for employment, aiming 2020, micro entrepreneurship as part of it. So equipments which are not worth more than 1 crore and an annual turnover not more than 5 crores would be involved in micro entrepreneurship, and they aim to solve the day-to-day life problems. There have been less than 10 employees typically, along with a limited geographical scope, who have been involved with it. Agriculture is one such. The next is Mera Yuva Bharat, which is again an autonomous body of the cabinet, which has been approved for youth development and providing youth with the services for nation building. Some of the schemes which are really important are, for example, extramural research or core research grant, high risk, high reward research, design clinic scheme, zero defect, zero effect. Then technology and rural education. We do have one of the 4th best representation ratio in the world universities in 2024 from the 6th. So that's a good leap. So education is definitely improving, and we aim to improve it further. We do have student talent programs, for example, Samrak Shiksha, Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat, Navodaya Vidyalaya, NTSC that we already talked about. There have been various technological interventions for the same. NIDAR is one such which has been discussed in a separate lecture previously. Vidya Samiksha Kendra, E-Vidya Diksha, virtual labs being established, the grading index being given. Under the Nishtha scheme, the idea was the digital teaching for the elementary level infrastructure, which was mainly for the remaining elementary teachers, and this focuses on the foundational courses, foundational literacy and capacity building at the basic level, which is the early childhood care and education, training the people for the same. So those are some of the highlights that we have covered for this Kurukshetra. The handouts for these would be available on exam race in the current affairs section. Stay tuned for further updates, and we do cover Yojana, Kurukshetra and down to earth on a regular monthly basis. So stay subscribed. Have a wonderful evening ahead.